Welcome to the Best NBA podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Christian with Champs Moving. If you could just maybe jump into a little bit about who you are. I know we got your kids out here doing our sound engineering, which is awesome.
Yeah, so Champs, we are a small, locally owned moving business, started in 2022. Service all the Tulsa area, metro. We also do interstate moves as well, so we'll leave the state if needed. But yeah, just your friendly local movers. That's what we are.
What is your most typical move? Is it new home buyers? Does it vary? Is it are most of your moves right here local? You say you do the further moves, but
yeah, so it varies. We can move to apartments. That's pretty popular right now during the summertime. Storage units, people buying and selling homes right now. The market's pretty crazy, so a lot of residential. Do commercial. If businesses are moving. Pretty much do anything with household goods. So if you've got household furniture, we'll do it.
I was on your website a bit, and I saw your like kind of intro video. I loved that. Like you were just talking about how you guys treat everything with care, and I don't know. I don't remember everything from that video, but was that your whole team there in that video, or is it you? How many guys on the crew? Like, what does that kind of look like?
Yeah, that was most of the team. So the crew, we've got about 7 or 8 guys. It gets up to about 10 during the summertime when we're busy. So yeah, we just had a camera guy come out, got us, live action shots of us doing an actual move. So that's what that was, just getting us on camera.
How long have you been in business with Champs Moving? Were you in moving before, or kind of how did you go, I want to start my own moving business?
Yeah, so I worked for one of the bigger companies here in Tulsa, and they kind of went different directions. So just decided to start my own. It was 2022. Came over with the crew from that company, and been rolling ever since. It was July 2022 when we started.
I'm always so fascinated, like the leap from working for a company to going and working on your own. We in college read a book, or at least we were supposed to read a book. I at least read the summaries of the book. Now it would probably apply more, but it was called E-Myth. It was like the entrepreneurial myth where you go, it's like boss man's just sitting in his truck. You're like, I'm doing all the heavy lifting. Like he's doing nothing. He's got the shiny truck, all this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go start on my own. All I need is the truck, the equipment I can afford, whatever. How has it been? Like the reason I bring that up is how have your expectations for like, here's what it's going to be starting my own business to what it actually is? And did you have a perspective on like everything it entailed, or have you been learning more and more things of what goes along with it?
Definitely learning as I go, but I've got a crew with great experience because we've done it before. So I'd say awesome. We were tested in the beginning. But I would say, starting off, if I was talking to a young guy, you might think you need a bunch of trucks. But I would say what's more important is get a solid crew. Get a solid crew that you can rely on, that's going to show up, be on time, wear the uniform, not smell like the bad stuff or alcohol, have that respectable professional look. So I'd say that's really the starting point. And then from there, marketing, get out there. When I first started, it was business cards on homes for sale. I've got signs out, try to do Facebook ads, a lot of word of mouth, a lot of referrals. So just staying connected with realtors, storage units, apartment complex, leasing agents, just networking for a solid year really is what got the business off the ground. But it's a lot of hard work in the beginning. It's definitely a grind. You gotta put your head down, and if you got a good loyal crew that's willing to work and get out there, then it's definitely possible. I think anybody could do it. It's a competitive industry too. There's probably 70 moving companies in Tulsa that are, a lot of them are pretty good. So
yeah, and then I would imagine every year there's probably at least 10 that spring up of college kids trying to do something in the summer and trying to undercut prices. And, that's a thing in every industry. Here I've obviously roofing, it seems like there's a crazy amount of roofers. I mean, moving wherever you are. I mean, I moved from Minnesota last June, and I mean, that was a thing too. There was a lot of moving companies where I know a big one for us. I don't even know if they're down here. It was called, what was it? Was it College Movers? Something like that. It was along the premise of basically like these are seasonal movers, which could be good. but also could probably lead to a lot of issues when you don't have seasoned movers.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's the thing right there. You really want to separate yourself from other moving companies, because there's a lot of fly-by-night companies, and they could be good, and you could say things about the big guys too, that maybe they don't care as much and they're all spread out. So yeah, I mean, it's just separating yourself is a big thing in this industry, I would say. And that just goes with professionalism. Like I said, showing up on time is the biggest thing, because, if you're a customer waiting 5 minutes late, that seems like an hour if they're waiting on you to move all their stuff and they got a closing date. So
yeah, I mean, and then with moving too, I mean, like that, like to you, it's 5 minutes late. To them, they've been waiting for like months and months for this moment.
Yeah.
Like all the anticipation of finally getting to move into a house or move out of a house. And like you say, even if it doesn't, mess up their entire move, like it leaves a taste, and, they're like, oh man, like they were late. Like you said, that is the thing that can differentiate you from other companies, which is mind blowing to me. But I mean, do you hear, I'd love to get into a little bit of your process and stuff, but before that, I guess where my mind goes is, have you heard stories of like, hey, I worked with a bunch of movers in the past and you guys are different because this, and this? I would imagine that's something that you probably hear a lot of.
Absolutely. Just read the comment section under any moving company. You'll see people with pretty much all the valid concerns that come with a move. People say things like, guys took a long lunch break, or they worked the whole time, so people will tell you what's going on. So yeah, we've seen it all, but really, I mean, what I would say a good move is, communicating with the customer from the start. Okay. Ideally, getting an in-person estimate. So getting out there, looking at all the stuff that is coming on the truck. That way, when the crew gets there, they know exactly what they're picking up. They're not guessing. It helps if the customer's completely boxed up whenever we get there. They're not scrambling to get things moved while we're going. And then from there, it's skill set. How good are the actual movers? Are they just like throwing stuff in the truck, or are they wrapping with a blanket, patting it, carefully getting on the dolly, going slowly onto the truck, getting it bungeed on the truck, make sure it's secured on the truck, and then make sure you have a good driver that can get from point A to point B, miss all the bumps, don't go flying over speed bumps.
Not slamming on the brakes. Looking out for other cars, and then successfully getting into the next driveway, getting parked, doing a walk around at the next house, making sure you know all the corners, the entryways. So those are the little details that separate a good crew from a not good crew. And it seems basic, but that's really, in my opinion, the separator between a good one and a not so good one. I'm almost laughing because my head's kind of going to like the amount of moves that I've done in the last like 6 or 7 years, just with being in college dorms, to and from dorms, to the house, to an apartment, to another apartment, to a house.
Yeah.
And family and friends, their favorite call to get is, hey, what are you doing on Saturday?
That pipeline starts running dry too.
I'm moving again. Yeah. They start going, yeah, I'm probably busy, not sure yet. Yeah. He's probably going to ask me to move again.
I got to do laundry tonight.
But I mean, I even think, some of those money, amount of stuff, it just made more sense for us to do it on our own. But when, now I think of the amount of stuff my wife and I have accumulated now that we're in a house, we could not ask people to, I mean, the amount of pickup truck loads or car loads of stuff that we would have to make, like, it's impossible. We would have to hire a mover.
Yeah.
I guess in regards to that, like when we got down here, we hired a couple movers just because we were moving into an apartment, and we paid them by the hour. It was hourly guys we found on one of the moving websites, and they did a great job. They just showed up in their car and just unloaded our U-Haul. It nice. Just, so the stuff was there for them. They took a lot of trips up and down 2 flights of apartment stairs, but I'm trying to think where I'm going with that. I guess in that process, they didn't really scope out the items. They just kind of had a rough photo of like what the U-Haul looked like because we had packed it. What does a process look like if someone's moving from, let's just to simplify it, say they're moving from a house to maybe a bigger house, or maybe they're moving from a bigger house to a smaller house. What does the move process look like, kind of start to finish, to get you out there to get them moved to that next house? Mm-hmm. That was a long-winded way of asking what's your process, but
yeah. So I would say most people, they start it could be 2 months out, but ideally I would say about 3 weeks to a month, you could get prepared for a move and start reaching out, gathering quotes. So from there, it's reaching out and just getting in touch with the booking department, whoever that might be, and turning over your list of items. That's really the biggest thing that I've seen in the moving industry is people are kind of all over the place, and rightfully so when they're moving because they're kind of scattered. So it's just consolidating the list of items that's coming out, looking at it, and then giving them a quote based on that, whether it's hourly or it might be a flat rate quote. Typically, if it's a bigger move, we'll do a flat rate quote. If it's smaller like yours, hourly. And then from there, it's organizing the crew, making sure they get all that information that was passed on from the customer to the booking department, getting it to the crew, make sure they've got a solid work order, and then really it's on them at that point. That's where how good's your crew, because when they show up, it's not like they did the walk around. Okay, right. So they're kind of showing up, fresh, hopefully, but they'll do their own walk around as well. But I would say that's the process in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yeah. And man, I would imagine you probably have some stories of going into homes and it's just a nightmare when they're supposed to be ready to move. Yeah. Just not packed up, or like other contractors there. I mean, I don't want to ask you to talk about your worst client, but I would love it if there's a story that comes to mind in regards to something like that.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, in moving, there are some nightmares. Let's see here.
I mean, maybe most people are pretty good about it, but
yeah, we've had great customers. We've had a really good experience so far. We haven't had too many nightmares, but I mean, where things go wrong, I would say, is late in the evening. So if you can prevent, because that's when the crew might get kind of testy. That's when the homeowner's kind of like ready to go to bed, and they want to make sure their bed's set up. So if you can prevent late moves, I think that is optimal, because just everybody's fresher, and there's something about, going up and down a driveway at 11 p.m. that's just exhausting. Whether you've doing it yourself or even if you're a professional crew member. So
no, that's good. That makes sense. I won't make you talk bad on any clients.
I would say good. Animals and little kids are tough to move around. So,
yeah, it's more so probably obstacles. Yeah. And I would imagine that's
put the pets up.
Yeah, put the pets away. I wasn't a mover, but I've helped plenty of people move out of houses, apartments, whatever. But I think of when I did window cleaning, I also worked for an air duct cleaning company for a number of years, but you're just in so many different homes. For me, at least, it was a cool thing to see, how different people live. For the most part, it was a cool thing.
That's great.
But I was like, you're being welcomed into someone's home. So it really is a very intimate thing where it's like, these are all my personal belongings. We're trusting you with it, or trusting you around it, and you also at the same time have to have a trustworthy crew who's not something's gonna end up in a pocket, or something's gonna end up not getting unloaded out of a truck, or we luckily had good hiring, and we only had one scare where a client called us and they're like, yeah, we actually have a Rolex missing and another expensive piece of jewelry, and I'm like, couldn't be my guys, right? But I'm like, I gotta ask them. And there was another crew of people working there. Eventually, I found out it was them. But it's like, that really is a thing that, like, if it was them, even if all our other crews are good, if anyone ever reads that review, stole a Rolex in this, you're done. I mean, might have to go rebrand, change the name. But I don't know. I guess that just makes me think of like the importance, like you said, of having a good and trustworthy crew when you're being invited into people's houses.
Yeah, and it's like you said it great there. It is a very intimate experience. We get close with customers pretty quick also too, because like within an hour you're talking about their most important thing. So trust is huge, and like you said too, like when you're carrying their mattress even, or like the antique dresser that their great grandma gave them that passed away, and that woman loves it so much. Okay, like that's a very intimate thing and it's important to them, and they like to see that we're handling it with care and that we're watching the corners and that we wrap that item and that we want to make it safely to the next destination just as much as you do. Because, on our end, let's just talk about it. Damages are a thing in the moving industry. Like nobody likes dealing with them, but they can happen. So it's good to have a crew that's hypersensitive, almost more offended if somebody were to say they got a damage. As a customer would be mad,
Yeah, that's just like that integrity piece. I think early on when we hired our first technicians, it was scary for us to, go and hire people who were like, they're reflecting our name and our brand and what we're doing and building. But, we had one incident where we had a technician, he dinged like a wooden doorway or walkway through the house and left a little dent. Very nice house. And he just kind of, whether he didn't notice or just didn't tell us, the client called us because he was one of our best clients. And he's like, hey, look, one of your guys did this. I'm not mad about it, but you got to tell him, come to me right away. If that happens, I understand. If you have to make it right, you make it right. Mm-hmm. But, that I would imagine is one of the things too, where it's as good of a crew as you have, there are tight hallways, there are crazy hard staircases, heavy items, your foot gets caught on something. It's going to happen. But, what we found, and I'm sure what it sounded like you're getting at is being so ahead of it, if something ever were to happen, that client's that means the world that they told me, you know, and then you have the opportunity to make it right.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Sometimes when damages happen, that it's like you said, it's a good way to showcase your integrity. Okay. You got a good opportunity to make it right, pay out the claim, or just simply fix the item or paint the wall or whatever needs to be done. You want to make sure it gets right, because ultimately, customers are the people that fuel the business. So you want to make sure they're happy. So yeah, it's about integrity at the end of the job, and it's not even just damages. Sometimes just following up afterwards, making sure their house is, everything's good, everything got moved in, because people come back and they talk to people. So
everybody knows someone who's moving. So when that time comes, I would imagine word of mouth is super powerful for something like that. What's the hardest item to move, house to house?
That is a great question. I would say pianos are pretty hard. Especially if they have to go upstairs. Treadmills can be pretty tough if they're like the older treadmill that don't fold correctly, and if they're going up or downstairs, and you might only have room for 2 guys on the stairs, and really it's a 3-man lift, so you got 2 guys really grunting on a treadmill. That's been tough. Any kind of backyard kids play set type of thing, those are tough because you got to kind of take them apart, and they typically not as sturdy as you'd like them to be, so they could break easily. I'd say those are the hard ones. The ones that aren't so hard that people ask a lot about, that are actually pretty easy, like gun safes, those are pretty, they're kind of heavy, but they're perfectly rectangular, so they fit on a dolly very well, so those are pretty easy. Refrigerators are easy because it's perfectly rectangular. So those are easy ones. But I'd say piano is probably the toughest. Exercise equipment, treadmills, things like that, those can be tough.
I bet not most, but I would imagine not every moving company even would move pianos. I would imagine there's probably some who are
some
that's
don't.
Specialty move.
Yeah, some stay away from it.
I can imagine. I would also imagine some of the item, even treadmills, if there was some assembly required, it was built in a room. Now it's, now they're like, well, we just got to get out. They're like, it doesn't fit through this doorway. I bought a cheap Facebook Marketplace treadmill that I brought. We have a little upstairs gym. That was a nightmare to get up the stairs. Definitely dinged the walls a couple times. Definitely used some choice words that I wasn't proud of. But, that's where I'm like, man, that alone for me, if you have the money for it, is a reason to make someone else carry it.
Well, when I think that's what separates, doing it yourself from getting a moving company. It's like, if you do it yourself, it's, might be 3.5 hours. You're sweating, cussing at your wife, kicking the dog afterwards. You're mad the next day. Moving company, you might spend some money, but they'll knock it out in 1.5 or 2 hours. Hopefully they're polite and professional. And you pay a little bit of money. So that's kind of that's the give and take if you're you're having to move stuff yourself. But a lot of times, I tell people, if you got a brother-in-law and you got a pickup truck and you got a couple things and you want to tough it out,
go for it.
Make
some memories for sure.
Yeah, it's fun,
Yeah, I think of
if you're trying to take a break, hit us up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the amount of things I've seen broken on moves I've done with people. I've even, I tried to move it was a cheap TV I bought, also Facebook Marketplace, but it ended up in the back of a Chrysler Town and Country with the seats all the way down, just
nice.
Everything from the dorm loaded in it. It worked. The TV was placed poorly with a desk chair. Get home, plug it in, completely shot the TV. Horrible. I wouldn't hire myself as a mover. I mean, I think of some friends that I was with, a crew from a church I used to go to, and they're moving a fridge out. Completely bent this dude's chain link fence over. Now he's either got to get that fixed or he's got to tell, they're selling that house. And so I don't know. There's a lot of things that can go wrong.
A lot of things can go wrong. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of liabilities. So being careful is the key, and going slow, not rushing, taking your time.
And I think on top of that, man, I would love if you, I don't know exactly where you go with it, but just what I think of is the process of buying a new home, whether you're building, downsizing, moving into a bigger house. The fun part is getting to that new place. The sucky part is the move. Mm-hmm. And there are people who do it much better, who you're already spending so much money to buy that house. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's really a question in that, but I'm just like, to me, it's like almost a no-brainer. Don't even spend that day and a half, getting these things moved in. I mean, the first time I ever had hired a mover was when I got down here and those guys brought everything up. I'm like, this is incredible. Mm-hmm. I was like, I didn't have to lift anything. I'm standing there watching them thinking I should help.
Yeah. Sometimes customers don't know what to do with their hands. Should I jump in? What should I do here? Do I get on the truck? Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing we always try to tell customers when we're out there working is, hey, you be a good supervisor. Okay, so that means you're standing there, you just be pointing, telling us where to put it down, where it looks nice. We really don't want you picking stuff up. Just let us do the work. But yeah, that's the benefit of moving company. You'll have 3 or 4 guys for 6-8 hours, and we'll do what you tell us to do with a smile on our face. And it's actually good for us too if they're not so much involved, just because we've got our own routines and how we do things. Mm-hmm. And really all we need you for that day is just pointing, telling us where to put it, where not to put it, or put it on the curb. We're going to throw that away. Whatever you need it, we'll put it. So yeah, that's the benefit. Just sit back, enjoy your day.
Yeah.
Maybe get us some water, Gatorade.
Yeah.
We'll be good.
Oh man, water, Gatorade, any food.
Yeah.
Oh my. That was the best surprise ever when a client's like, hey, we'll get you a meal. We're like, yes.
Feed the movers. We love it.
Yes. Incredible.
We get hungry.
That's the best tip ever. I mean, cash tips are nice too, but give me some food and water. I would imagine in Oklahoma, like midsummer moves are pretty rough.
Yeah, summer moves are tough, and there's a difference there. Funny story. We've had guys pass out in the truck on those hot days. It gets hot in the truck, and sometimes you're just in there packing the truck. So sometimes we gotta, take our 15-minute breaks. Have one guy just drink water, for 15 minutes. And the winter poses a whole different, challenge. Sometimes, the lift gates or the ramps can be icy. Mm-hmm. So getting up and down a icy truck is tough, if you're pulling a 300-pound fridge. But honestly, I mean, we're good at both. I personally would prefer the extreme heat over the cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seasons are tough.
No, 100%. I mean, yeah, my point of reference is Minnesota. I just think of those guys like dead of winter doing moves, through the snow. I mean, you ought to triple your prices. If I'm going to move you midwinter, you're walking through the yard. I would love if you would get kind of a little bit into maybe your vision with your business, kind of, maybe on the business side of what growth looks like. But I think, that's one thing to talk about, but I think it's also like what your vision is kind of for what the business can do, maybe for you, for your family, kind of picture there, if you could get into a little bit of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, I'd like to give it to my kids. They're young now. They're 7 and 5, but they tell me all the time they want to work for Champs. They think they know how to fold blankets and work dollies. And I've got a daughter who's Ellie. She's 7, and I could see her doing sales in the future. She's pretty good on the phone right now, and she likes to talk to people. And my son, I think he'd fit in moving. I think it'd be a good job for him as a young kid, but ultimately give him the business. But as far as vision goes, where I see Champs, I just want it to be a place. Really, I think about the movers that I have. I want it to be a place that guys can come and work and have a good culture and really just sometimes give guys a second chance, third chance. If we're being honest here, I mean, in the moving industry, sometimes guys, need a place to work, and other people don't give them a shot, and I like giving guys a shot. So, and if you can, do the little things, show up on time, work hard, take care of the customer, you'll fit in with Champs. So, to me, it's about having an opportunity, kind of having like a loose network of men that can always have solid work is how I see it. The money's good. I enjoy running it, but I think that's what I enjoy the most is the satisfaction of guys coming together for a common cause. It's a move, but it's kind of like a mission that you have to go on, and then completing that job at a high performance level is what I like seeing guys be able to do that, and kind of promoting leaders within the group and giving them a little bit of room to call the shots a little bit. I think that's good for them. I think it's good for me to delegate a little bit, but that's what I would say most of my passion comes from. And then secondly, I would say just being in the community. I think working with people that are moving, you kind of you're hitting them at a spot where, like we said, it's intimate, and they're going to remember you forever if you do a good job. And really, if you do a bad job, they're going to remember you forever. One thing I've always said is, like, if you do a bad job with a customer, they'll tell 5 people that week how bad it was. If you do a good job with a customer, they'll tell 3 people over the course of their lifetime how great you were. So it's kind of imprinting that our influence in the community, that we're solid people. And I think it's good for it's good for me, it's good for my family, it's good for my crew members as they kind of expand in the community. They kind of get recognized sometimes. I've had guys tell me, I was at a Drillers game and I saw a customer that we moved 2 months ago, and she came up to us and she was so nice and she appreciated us and she remembered us. So it's just really making an impact on the community is what I like about it, and taking care of guys that want to work. It's my long-term vision. And moving kind of tests you too, in that is that you're in a tough environment, in that it could be hot, cold, stuff's heavy, truck's hot. You got to really control your attitude, because it's easy to get really mad and just flip out randomly. So it does test people's leadership quite a bit, and the
patience aspect of it, I would imagine, and there's so much problem solving too, just learning how to think on the fly. I think problem solving is definitely something you can learn. I think some people have it more and others maybe don't have it quite as much. And that's obviously something that I think, separates a skill there too, because you have to be able to work with all these different objects, and it seems pretty simple in itself, but you start working with tight corners and hard moves and lifts and stuff like that. And, there's a high risk of the item getting damaged or the home getting damaged.
Yeah. And every home is different too. So it's like every environment we're in is a different environment than that we were in yesterday.
You could be in something for a few years and then you face something I've never seen before. Is that person gonna be able to solve it on their own, or are they gonna be blowing up your phone trying to figure out what to do? Exactly. I think that's something that we learned too, is we had some technicians who were much better sitting under leadership, who could tell them exactly what to do. Others who rose up and they're like, yeah, I can figure this out. It's actually not rocket science.
Right.
Man, it's I get lost a little bit sometimes. I started this is episode 28.
Nice.
And so getting the reps in, but when I started it, I'm like, because I listen to all sorts of podcasts, I'm like, this will be so easy. Like, it's just a conversation. And then you realize you got to be active listening as best you can, and then thinking about the next line you're going to go to. Definitely a learned skill. But I would love it if you could direct people kind of to where to find you, how they could hire you.
Sure. Yeah. So best way getting a quote started is our website, champsmoving.com. Put in your information, pickup address, drop-off address, list of inventory, your target move date, and that allows us to kind of get an idea and a ballpark of what kind of move we're working with. You can also call or text. Best phone number is 918-313-3265. We're active on Facebook, so you can hit us up on Facebook as well. But those are the main ways to get in touch with us. And I would say during the busy season, give us 24 hours sometimes to get back with you. But we'll always get back with you within 24 hours. Pretty good at turning around fast moves too if you need that.
Yeah. So I guess there are a couple things like logistically of like what you do. Is there okay, so it's two-part. What type of moves do you offer? We'll go in a little bit more into that. And then what would be your like dream move client?
Okay.
Right. So what do you offer, whether that's size, location, radius? Let's just go there first.
Okay. So generally it's going to be residential, Tulsa Metro, house to house. I would say that's general, but people have other needs. Could be house to a storage unit, and then maybe they're closing on their house in 2 weeks. We got to move from the storage unit to the house. Could also be, moving from a house, dropping off a lot of items at the sister-in-law's house because she's taking a lot of the items from the move and then going to the final drop off. So it could vary quite a bit. I would say our ideal move, we like interstates. That's really what I think our crews do the best, and that's what we've been tested on quite a bit recently. And that's an interstate, for the people that don't know, is leaving state lines. Intrastate is staying within the state. So interstate moves is kind of what we live for. I mean, those are the big ones. Going far, it's a big challenge for the crew. It's also a big challenge for the customer a lot of times because they're moving everything and they're not coming back. Excuse me. So those are our ideal moves, interstate moves.
What's the furthest move you've done?
Furthest move, we've gone to Jacksonville. We've gone to California. I want to say we've done Boston or just outside of Boston. A lot of it's regional, so we go to Dallas a lot, Kansas City a lot, St. Louis. So we've gone anywhere in the country. We've gone everywhere, anywhere that you need to go, or if you're moving into Broken Arrow, we've picked you up. Not even just Broken Arrow, we picked people up in Florida, moved them over to Jinx. So
yeah, wow, that's huge. Those are huge moves.
Those are good. It's a lot of coordination. Sometimes there's flights involved. There's hotels involved. So
that needs to be done right.
They got to be done right. It takes a lot of thinking on my end, and then just organization, but once you get the right crew, they know how to fly from there. So try to give those guys like an agenda and itinerary so they kind of know the stops.
I'm sure that's a pretty fun experience at least when you're newer in it too. But
it actually is fun. The guys love those moves.
It's work, but you kind of get a little vacation out of it. Maybe you squeeze in a half day somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah, you got some time sometimes. You go see a different city. And I've talked to guys that, they've told me, I never seen that state before. I didn't know what it was like, and outside of DC, and say, you get to go see it.
Yeah.
Free trip. Just got to move.
You can come in. We'll close her out. But yeah, so if you need moves, Broken Arrow, Tulsa Metro, if you're moving to Los Angeles, California, I don't know, wherever you're moving,
we can do it.
Champs Moving can do it. I don't know. Do you guys have a tagline? If you're moving, we can do it. No, I'm not the tagline guy.
We've got everyone's hiring the champs, but
right.
I might change that. But we've had that for the first 4 years.
Everyone's hiring the champs.
Yep.
Champs Moving. This is Christian. Thank you for the conversation today, and look forward to connecting more in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate it.